Good morning, Dennis, and welcome back to the Building and Growing podcast.
Good morning, Lucas. Thank you for having me back. It's much appreciated, especially in the second week of the new year.
Yeah, you're most welcome. Yeah. It's great to be here, and the first podcast that we'll record at the beginning of 2023. Cool. 2022 was a very big year for Easy Hire. What do you have in mind for 2023?
Yeah, so 2022 has been a roller coaster of a year for us, as any startup journey always is, with incredible highs and, of course, some kind of lows that you have to overcome and challenges. But, we've come out 2022 incredibly strong. We recruited an incredible team, from Amazon, from Accenture, ex-Spotify, ex-founders that have built and sold businesses before. So we're really happy with the core leadership team we've built now.
Yes.
And that was one of the main milestones we achieved last year, as well as expansion into the current 3 markets we operate in. So the UK, Italy, and Spain within the construction rental space. And, now we're at over 70 million pounds of asset value,
nice.
Between the franchises that we do work with, and over 75 depots. And that's a lot of coverage we achieved last year. So moving into the new year, into 2023, we also have some really incredibly ambitious plans, one of which is launching our 3rd equity crowdfunding campaign with Cedars.
Fantastic.
Which I'm sure we'll talk about a little bit. But yeah, that's something that we are really excited about, and it's something we've done before.
Excellent.
And we'll be launching very, very soon.
So let's put the pressure on you. Can you do an elevator pitch of what Easy Hire does?
God, well, that's kind of like the classic, right?
Yeah.
Every founder gets asked that same question. Can you do me an elevator pitch? And it's not easy, to be frank, even in person or, and as well as, whether you do that on video or not. But okay, sure. I'll kind of give you a bit of a quick explanation. I guess the best way to kind of put our business is to say that, first of all, we're going to be the go-to destination for equipment hire in the UK and in Europe, and we're backed by the founder of EasyJet.
Yes.
And that means you can hire and rent anything from plant machinery to tools for a construction job or a landscaping project you're doing at home.
Yes.
And we facilitate that entire process. So we have, over 70 million pounds worth of assets that we utilize.
Yes.
And we've put that into a catalog that you could easily access online with real-time availability as well as pricing information. Mm-hmm. So we make that entire hiring process that normally is very kind of traditional, phone calls, emails, a lot of back and forth. We digitize that and we make it simple and easy.
Yes.
And that's resonated with our customer base because people want to be able to go on their phone and book something and, get whatever they need now, immediately, same day or next day. So
Indeed.
That's what we do.
Excellent. And if I can sort of add to the answer about one of my favorite examples of, let's say, somebody that requires a mini digger, which might cost £25,000 to £30,000 to purchase, but they're able to hire that for a couple of £100, use it for a 2 or 3 day job, and they don't need to worry about maintenance fees coming up with, the capital to purchase that equipment initially, as well as the transport. So I think,
that's a good add-on to my pitch. Actually, you probably should have started with that. It would have been easier for someone. So you've done a better job than me there, Lucas. But you're absolutely correct. There is a very strong rental use case for some of the products that we work with, and diggers and excavators are a good example of that. Exactly right. It costs a lot to buy, costs a lot to maintain. They're not easy to transport. So why not just hire or rent it out for only like 200, 300 quid for a couple of days?
Indeed.
So that's a really good example that you brought up.
Dennis, when we met, the company was also known as Rentu, but you've now rebranded to Easy Hire. Are you able to talk us through that process and the reasons why you did it?
Absolutely. So, Rentu was the original incorporation name of the company, and was a name we traded under for quite some time. But when Stelios, the founder of EasyJet, became a shareholder in summer of 2019, he also gave us a brand license to use the brand Easy Hire,
Yes.
as well as Easy Tool Hire and Easy Event Hire. So those were 3 trademarks we got as a license from Easy Group back in summer of 2019. To be honest, we didn't do much with that for at least 6 months. And then beginning of 2020, we thought, look, the brand Easy is well recognized. We should do something with it.
Yeah.
Instead of trading under Rentu, we should perhaps trade under Easy. And it's something we explored, something we got a lot of traction with, something that we realized can really propel the business forward. And, we kind of continued on that front where it was more of a kind of a product brand for us,
Yes.
Easy Tool Hire. And then we kept the company registered as Rentu. But now fast forward, to 2 years later, or actually nearly 3 since it's 2023.
Yeah.
We've decided on a total rebrand where we've now rebranded to Easy Hire Technologies
Fantastic.
and registered that in the appropriate places. And that's a new exciting chapter for us because Easy Group as a shareholder has become a more important partner for us on our journey. Not only did they invest 2 times,
Yeah.
once just about mid-2022, about £2 million, as well as an earlier investment that they had done in 2019.
Yeah.
So the fact that they've reinvested their money, and when I say they, it is the man himself, Stelios, that owns 100% of Easy Group.
Yes.
The fact that Stelios has reinvested in us, it's given us a lot of confidence, of course, in what we're doing, since he's an incredibly well-known entrepreneur,
Yeah.
an incredibly well-known founder that started, I think, one of the first low-cost airlines in Europe.
Yes.
Has been really successful off the back of that. So, it's been an incredible sign of confidence for him to, reinvest in us a second time. And as we've now kind of expanded into new markets, into, Italy and Spain, and of course, grow our presence in the UK, we thought it was appropriate
Yes.
to also rebrand fully to Easy Hire, to kind of, move away from Rentu as a brand. Also because, we see a future where our partnership with Easy Group grows even further.
Yes.
We have a very close relationship with the team. We, have events in Monaco that we do at Stelios's properties and venues. And we're doing one actually quite soon in the next couple of months where we're inviting our entire customer base, all our franchises,
Wow,
which is quite exciting.
Yeah, indeed.
And Stelios has been always incredibly generous in regards to offering his time,
Yes.
as well as, hosting us and, offering, a venue to be able to kind of do events from. So to kind of reflect that growing partnership and the importance Easy Group is playing in our future, we thought it was appropriate for us to kind of move forward, with this brand that we've already been using, but to kind of make it official and rebrand completely to Easy Hire Technologies. And we're really excited about that and what that entails. And, we think that the industry, definitely has resonated very strongly with the Easy brand. It's an incredibly powerful brand. And the fact that, it demonstrates value, I think is key. And the fact that it is, an easy, hassle-free, brand where, they were one of the first in the airline industry to offer internet bookings, right? And so forth. And we're doing, something very similar in the tool and equipment hire space. We're one of the first and few out there that has full transparency on pricing, right? So that's something that very, very few companies in our industry do. And it's something that we're probably one of the pioneers of. We show a full pricing breakdown immediately online for whatever product it is that you're looking to hire. So I think the Easy brand works quite nice because of that, because we're pioneering on a lot of new kind of technologies and kind of ways of doing business. And also the fact that easy stands for value, I think is important because people want value, especially during times like this. So we're very proud to kind of grow our affiliation and to grow our partnership with Easy Group. And, really looking forward to the coming months and the years.
Fantastic. You really are making it easy to hire. Let's talk about crowdfunding, because this may not be something that the audience is familiar with. Do you mind perhaps providing a little introduction into what is crowdfunding and why you previously chose to engage on a crowdfunding campaign?
Cool. So crowdfunding, yeah. So it's a word, or I guess a label, that means different things to different people to a certain extent. When people think of crowdfunding, they might think of Kickstarter, which means that you're kind of, pre-booking something, or it's a pre-sale, or you're buying something in advance before it's produced. But that's not what equity crowdfunding really is. Equity crowdfunding is you're owning, a piece of the company and you're investing in that company.
Yes.
And that's a distinction that I think people are becoming more and more aware of now that it's becoming more popular because of, the network effects and the marketing you achieve through getting your message, your proposition, your business in front of so many different people. And, we've done it 2 times before. So we've raised over £1 million from Cedars.
Wow.
And we've welcomed on board over 1,100 investors.
Fantastic.
So, that's quite a decent number.
Yeah, indeed.
And and we're really excited because, we decided to kind of offer our customers, our franchises, and our shareholders the opportunity to participate once again in our journey.
Yes.
And one of the reasons why we love kind of going down this route as well is, as mentioned, the marketing, really does, get supercharged in the sense that you're out in front of a lot of people. And as people invest, no matter what the sum, they become brand ambassadors. Indeed, so you suddenly have a community that cares about your success, and the word of mouth increases.
Yes.
So,
That's fantastic. And I remember back in the day, both Monzo and Revolut engaged in crowdfunding campaigns. And it's true that, those who invest in crowdfunding campaigns, if they use the product, that is going to translate into increased behavior, increased likelihood to refer. So what a fantastic idea to offer it to your franchisees and existing shareholders and, potentially client base as well.
So, from our last 2 rounds, out of those 1,100 investors that did back us, I would say a good portion, especially in the UK, were prospective customers. So going back to your example with Monzo, the fact that, customers of your product believe in it so much that they're going to invest in it, is fantastic, because that also means, you got something right in terms of product market fit, of course, but you get, that feedback loop, which is so important, because people care.
Yes.
Even if it's minor details or minor little suggestions or improvements, we've had a lot of folks that have come to us, with that. And that's because they care, because they've put their own money into the business and they use the product. And I think that's one of the biggest benefits that you can achieve from equity crowdfunding, is to go down that route of getting your customers, your stakeholders, involved with you on your journey. Yes. And also, I think it allows them to participate in the potential upside of your success, which is also quite important.
Indeed. And I think it's really good to touch upon that different dynamic that you might receive, or the bond that you have with individual investors as opposed to, let's say, institutional investors. Are you able to touch upon, maybe the type of support that you receive from the institutional investors that maybe the individual investors might not know about?
Well, so first of all, Cedars, again, in terms of how this model works, they create one SPV. So it's one entity that sits on your cap table. So, we've raised over $1 million with 1,100 investors backing us. So we have 1,100 investors from the crowd that sit on this one entity. So Cedars is regulated by the FCA. They are an institutional investor of sorts in their own right. So, they of course protect the interests of their shareholders, which are these crowdfunding investors that have invested in the SPV. But of course, our interaction with our community on that front is very much, kind of achieving traction on new product launches. So whether that's on social, which is a big thing.
Yes.
So it's great to have an army of people that believe in what you do. So whenever you have new product releases, or you launch new markets, or you bring live new customers,
yes,
you have a very willing audience to kind of shout about you and to support you. So that's fantastic. And also, you kind of never know where you might get surprised with the value adds some of these crowdfunding investors might provide for the business.
Indeed.
Especially in terms of recruitment of talent. So that's
Yes.
something we've done before. We have discussion boards. We've done this 2 times before. This is going to be the 3rd time. And, we had referrals to great talent,
Yes.
when we were hiring. And, we had a lot of people support us whenever we would kind of, do press releases and kind of launch new regions and new products. And we also had quite a bit of feedback as well. So in terms of institutional investors, we do have, some VCs on our cap table, and our interaction with them is, of course, a little different. They've deployed money from their LPs into, the business, and they're there to support us, and they generally provide, a network of mentors,
yes,
to facilitate that. So they, we'll provide workshops. We do kind of events I would say probably maybe every 2 quarters with some of our shareholders, where they invite the portfolio of companies in. And we do get a lot of support, but it's just a different type of support. So, of course, institutional investors can refer you to other investors. So that's kind of a benefit there.
yes,
Obviously, because all of them kind of know, people further down in the chain that might be doing bigger round sizes. So as we kind of naturally progress, and when we do another round or a bigger round, our current shareholders, our current institutional shareholders, have been always very open to introductions to other, VC funds that they will know further down the line that can
yes,
help and participate in our journey as well. So those are maybe some of the examples of how we've worked with, some of the VCs that have, invested in us, as well as, of course, Seeders and the crowdfunding community that we built out of that.
Fantastic. I really love the example of those discussion boards and, receiving input from investors further down the line when it comes to referrals and the support of the product launches. I think Seeders and crowdfunding is a great way to democratize access to private companies. So it's a success story.
It is, it's not easy. I think crowdfunding can easily be done wrong. It is very much a marketing exercise.
Yes.
And I think, some companies have success with it, some companies don't. And that's just the way it is. It also depends a bit, not only on the execution of the campaign itself, but also on the business itself.
Yes.
It needs to be digestible. You need to communicate, in a kind of simple format to a retail investor, what it is that you're doing and what it is that you want to accomplish. I think one of the advantages we've had, of course, is we've had an incredible brand, with Easy Hire that is incredibly well recognized in the UK and in Europe.
Yes.
So obviously, to retail investors or folks kind of, looking to invest in a company that is crowdfunding, that helps.
Yes.
Because the brand recognition, builds credibility. It also develops interest. And, for us specifically, we recognize the potential in the industry that we operate in, because, it's incredibly fragmented. There's over 17,000 rental companies in the UK and so forth, and in Europe, and the brand helps you stand out.
Yes.
So that's definitely been the case for us with this 2 successful campaigns we've launched with Seeders. But it's important to note as well, it's you have to explain your business in a simple format, but you also need to kind of execute the campaign, which is takes quite a bit of time.
Indeed, yeah. So in terms of digestibility, I think that's a really key point, because sometimes companies aren't able to demonstrate their value proposition or what they do in, let's say, a 10 or 15 second sentence. So, we've worked together a lot this year, in particular on, say, systems. And I said this year, we should say last year now.
True.
What type of system changes have you made in order to power the operation in advance of this crowdfund?
So, system changes that we've made. We've made a few really significant ones that's taken us quite a while. So, one obviously is a super CRM that we've built up. So a super kind of customer relationship management system where we've centralized all data.
Yes.
And definitely took us about 3-4 months to execute, since we had a lot of individual CRM functions that that needed a lot of kind of housekeeping done to them, essentially. But that super CRM we've built now and kind of centralized all our data streams into has been incredibly beneficial for our scalability, which we've already demonstrated with the new regions that we're launching. It's much easier for us now to launch new franchise regions with the super CRM setup that we do have. It just involves basically launching a new territory within the same system instead of setting up a unique system by itself. So that is one great example of something we've really worked hard and long on, and we're already reaping the benefits from, which is exciting. Also, we've made a major migration of our technical infrastructure to AWS. So that was something that was just completed across Christmas. So it took us a long time as well. It was not easy.
Christmas present, though.
Yeah, well, the team was hard at work. And that's a big milestone for us as well, because that also dramatically increases, our ability to deploy new franchises faster.
Yes.
So that's scalability, and it's easier for us to maintain. So it takes less resource for us to maintain. And also there's a lot of other functionality that we're tapping into now with the AW system ecosystem. So we're very excited about that. So those are two examples of the AWS migration, as well as the super CRM project that we've completed. And then there's been a lot of other systems and processes we've had to kind of tighten up and build up, especially, now that we've scaled the team. We're about 30 people in total. We're in 3 different countries, 70 depots plus, 21 franchise regions plus. And, now more than ever, it's important to kind of have the right systems and processes in place.
Yes.
And very excited to kind of now be able to kind of grow off the back of that in 2023.
Fantastic. And I, when we were working on the super CRM system, I think it's easy for people just to think, oh, it's a CRM. But actually, when you think about growth, some of the key learnings from, say, Revolut and Getir were, all right, we've achieved something. Now, how do we 10x it? And so with the super CRM system, that consolidation meant that, let's say, any updates to the CRM now only have to occur once as opposed to 11 times. So it's all of those incremental benefits that if you had to scale to 100 franchisees, you didn't want to be working on it, updates 100 times. And so I think that it's, the team did a really good job of bringing that in and addressing that, so that post-fundraise, you're able to scale without, system teething issues.
Absolutely. And, another kind of example that demonstrates that is our gross margin. Our gross margin is above 90%.
Yes.
And the reason for that is, we've done a lot of investment on infrastructure and systems. So we now have a very strong foundation that we can grow from. And, that wasn't always the case. It, took a lot of headache, took a lot of resource, and the team absolutely executed incredibly on it.
Yes.
But now we have this infrastructure that we've built that allows us to easily deploy and scale our product in new markets. So, and that's demonstrated also by our gross margin.
Yes.
I'm with you on that.
Fantastic.
It's a big project for us.
So just to summarize there, Super CRM system has unlocked the ability to add new franchises and territories, measure data more effectively, AWS migration allows you to deploy product updates more quickly, allows you to onboard franchisees more quickly as well. So fantastic work that the team has done. And moving back to something that you mentioned earlier on in the podcast, which was the fact that Easy Hire represents sort of 70 odd million pounds worth of equipment across its franchisees. Are you able to dig into that, what that means, and sort of what projections you've got for asset growth, let's say, in the future?
Absolutely. So, we've been really careful with the type of partners we decide to work with. So that's really important for us because we want to really pick the right rental companies.
Yes.
And there's quite a robust process we take every rental company through before we do decide to engage with them, from health and safety to kind of also the ambitions of their team, which is kind of an important point here, right? Because we're partnering up with someone, we're giving them exclusivity for a geography. So we want to make sure we pick the right partner to kind of scale a business with. And in terms of, franchise asset value, that's key for us because in the industry as well, because of COVID and, the supply chain challenges that has come with COVID.
Yes.
There's not a lot of kit out there. There's not a lot of product out there. So, and if there is, a request for new product, whether that's a mini digger that you want to buy, sometimes those lead times could be 6 months. They could be 12 months.
It's huge.
So we want to make sure we partner up with the right company that has assets that are ready to be out there to be utilized.
Yes.
So that's why we've really focused on partnering up with companies that have a very healthy, asset base of new machinery, of well-maintained machinery. And that's something we're very proud about. So hence why, I think we are making the progress that we are because we can provide availability to our customers while other suppliers and other rental companies and so on struggle. And we can see that number growing dramatically. I think into 2023, we could easily see a doubling of the franchise asset value, if not even more.
Excellent. And you mentioned that you're live in 3 markets at the moment. Are you able to expand on that and potentially any new expansion markets that you're targeting in 2023?
So we're live in Italy, Spain, and the UK. So those are our 3 primary markets. And we will be launching, hopefully, Portugal very soon.
Yes.
So that's been on our agenda and our roadmap for quite a bit. And Ireland also is another market that we're focused on. But there's 2 kind of key primary markets that are left for us is France and Germany that we would really like to tap into. But we've strategically decided that we will push that back into the end of this year.
Okay.
And focus on optimizing the current markets that we're in, as well as launching some of these other micro markets like Portugal and Ireland.
Okay.
So that's currently the roadmap that we have in place.
Fantastic. So we've talked a lot about, the roadmap in terms of the funding round, international expansion. What's on the product roadmap for 2023?
Product roadmap. We've had some major milestones that we accomplished last year that I talked about. One of which was this migration to AWS.
Yes.
We also had the Super CRM project that also involved a lot of development resource on. And we also, launched a lot of integrations with a lot of other third parties. So I think moving into this year, into 2023, I would think that a lot of the focus for product is going to be launching these new customers and clients that we have.
Yes.
Since we have a lot of new launches that are planned, and we'll share more about that soon.
Indeed.
But that will be taking up a lot of resource from the product team.
Yes.
And I think another big focus for us will be third-party integrations. So we've always believed in the opportunity around creating a revenue management product when it comes to dynamic pricing.
Yes.
I think there are similarities with certain product ranges in the tool and equipment hire space compared to other industries like the hotel industry or the airline industry where dynamic pricing is quite accepted.
Indeed.
Where essentially there's a fluctuation in price dependent on demand and stock availability and seasonality. So I think that's something that we'll be exploring in more depth. We'll be exploring more, I think, integrations and partnership opportunities with kind of marketing providers, integrating our product perhaps into other platforms that work with tradespeople. works with the construction industry.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's another opportunity for us. So I think a big part of our product roadmap moving into the new year, other than new product launches, would be developing these third-party integrations that we have on the horizon, as well as introducing probably an element of revenue management and dynamic pricing.
Excellent. I think, the product integrations are a fantastic way to increase the total addressable market, and they're a lot stickier than, let's say, a marketing campaign, because once you've integrated, it's there forever, essentially. So, yeah.
I think that's key, because you don't necessarily want to reinvent the wheel. So if someone else is doing something really well, don't try to copy and launch your own version of it. At least maybe if you're Facebook or Meta, maybe you can do that. But point Instagram,
that's
Snapchat.
right.
But as a startup, I think makes much more sense to find great products to integrate with, and to offer and package that functionality in your value proposition when you talk to rental companies and or just generally customers. And from our perspective, right, we are a technology company, absolutely. We've built all of our tech stack in-house. It is all proprietary. But then other integrations like ID verification that we've built out, that's a whole nother business by itself. So we're not going to build that out ourselves. So that's where an integration plays an important role. And I think that'll be a big part of the strategy moving forward, is to integrate with the right partners, bundle those packages up, and offer it as an opportunity to our rental companies to leverage, because we are, in the end of the day, one of their few digital and tech partners, especially kind of business partners as well. So we kind of do both fronts, where we know a lot about marketing. We are a technology company, and we're also business partners in the sense that we're incentivized to grow their business.
Yes.
So we generally do get a lot of requests and a lot of folks that come to us and ask for things. And hence why, I think integrations is a big part of our product roadmap.
Indeed. And earlier in the podcast, you touched upon the network effect. I think that when you add an integration, everybody benefits.
Absolutely.
So it's, the franchisees benefit, the end consumers or construction stakeholders who hire from you benefit, and then the partner benefits as well through, the new business that you're generating for them.
So just to give you some examples, so we've integrated with SMS marketing solutions, with WhatsApp, with ID verification, right? Obviously with CRM systems, inventory management systems, right? And also with customer service systems in terms of VoIP. Okay. And those are just a few kind of examples of what we've integrated with.
Yes.
And I think there's potential to do more. And absolutely, I think it delivers a lot of value to have that in one place.
Which is great. Easy Hire really is positioning itself as a one-stop shop for those franchisee partners as well as the stakeholders who need to hire things. I think just to touch upon the dynamic pricing side of things as well, that's really useful, because in terms of the customer behavior, you might see a lot of last-minute hires. And indeed, if you go to book a flight at the last minute or book a hotel at the last minute, chances are you're paying more than if you were going to purchase something 6 weeks in advance. So I think that, to build the technology that allows franchisees to leverage, dynamic pricing, it's a huge shift for the industry. And it also incentivizes stakeholders to plan their hires.
Absolutely.
More
That's a key
effectively.
point. That's an incredibly important point that you just mentioned, because a lot of people do unfortunately leave it to the last minute.
Yes.
It's probably one of the biggest complaints of the industry, potentially, where a lot of hires are left last minute and they need something same day or next day. And giving an incentive for them to plan in advance and book something in advance, would tremendously operationally help the rental fulfillment of that product. And also, if you provide a better, price, and it's more value driven, it's also better for the end customer. So absolutely, it provides an incentive for them to plan in advance.
Yes.
And also, in the end of the day, what we provide to our rental companies empowers our franchises to kind of decide what works for their business and what doesn't. So, like in the end of the day, it is their discretion to use any of our integrations and the products that we do provide, including dynamic pricing that we're launching. So, there's a lot of value add, of course, from a business perspective, but also I think for customers as well, it allows them to understand again, how the pricing structure, works. And we're incredibly transparent about this entire process. And I think that's something customers has always appreciated, because generally the industry has been very opaque about pricing. So you give someone a phone call, if they're your mates or what, they'll give you a different price compared to someone else. So what we introduce is that kind of transparency around, pricing, and that also applies for dynamic pricing. We clearly outline and will clearly outline, the levers of that, and how, as a customer, you can also use that to your advantage, where you can pre-plan and pre-book.
Indeed. I think very forward thinking. I think customers more and more are going to get used to the idea of, price increases closer to the time. Even if you take an industry like accounting, 31st of January is the last moment you can file a self-assessment. If you call an accountant on the 20th of January, it makes sense that you'll pay more for that service than if you called them in September. So I think, in terms of the construction and hire industry, being transparent about it and forward thinking is great.
And there's a reason for that. People don't like price increases, but there's a reason for that, because it's not also fair on the business itself that operationally has to put a lot into this in the last minutes. And whether that's the logistics of, in our industry, delivering the actual product itself and needing to redo the schedule to make that happen. And we work with independent businesses in the end of the day, and they have to make ends meet. Indeed. So if it costs them more to service a request, they might traditionally have turned down that request. But because of our dynamic pricing algorithm that we're pushing out, they might be more inclined to accept that last minute request, because at least they know their costs are going to be covered.
Indeed.
So it at least gives the availability and the option to the customer to be able to get something. And of course, they're going to get it at a higher price because they've ordered it last minute and they want it same day or next day, but at least gives them the option of choosing whether they would like to have it or not.
Fantastic. Dennis, thank you for taking us through the plans for dynamic pricing, and thank you for taking us through the product roadmap for 2023.
Pleasure.
So are you able to tell us a bit about the different types of revenue streams that Easy Hire has?
Absolutely. So the primary product we have is this franchise product that we've created. And we partner up with a rental company, an existing rental company, and they launched this new venture with us. And that means they dual brand their business and so forth. But in terms of the revenue model for that franchise product, so it is quite an investment upfront from our end, in terms of setting up the infrastructure and kind of putting in the marketing and, of course, going through the due diligence process to find the right partner. So we charge an monthly kind of SaaS fee for the proprietary system that they get access to, that all our rental companies get access to. So that includes the Super Sierra, as well as, integrations with ID verification, inventory management, and of course, kind of the front end of the e-commerce product that we provide. So that's a monthly subscription. And then we also have annual exclusivity licensing fee. Again, our model is based on kind of, betting on the right horse on each geography. So, we really work hard to find the right partner, and they get exclusivity for that area. So we will not work with any other company in that area. So for example, Scotland will have one partner in Scotland, and we charge an exclusivity licensing fee as a result of that annually. And then we also have a setup fee just to kind of, and that's generally spent on, kind of signage and kind of getting depot set up and whatnot. So that's our third revenue stream. And then fourthly, we have a commission that we charge on sales through platform. So that's the sales we generate, together under the Easy Tool Hire brand. And that's really important as well, because it aligns our incentives to grow the business, right? So that's our variable. And that's our key revenue driver, if we're really succeeding in what it is that we're doing. So those are the kind of the 4 different levers. It's the setup fee, it's the monthly subscription, annual exclusivity licensing fee, as well as a commission on sales through platform.
All right, fantastic. So franchise derived revenue, and then customer derived revenue, which aligns 100% with the franchisee's best interests.
Absolutely. And, it is a business partnership in the end of the day. We're partnering up with a company, and, we're, bringing the tech and the marketing onto the table with the Easy brand. And we do a lot of online marketing and participate in the media spend, and bringing our system, our infrastructure in place. And they're obviously bringing in the actual heavy, tangible machinery that is getting hired out, and the operations that go into that fulfillment process.
Yes.
So it's really important to make sure your incentives are aligned, and hence why, having financial incentives around, the growth of the business for both parties is incredibly important.
Look, Dennis, I think we've covered a lot today, from, looking at your previous crowdfunding experiences, why you chose to crowdfund, the accomplishments of Easy Hire throughout 2022, the roadmap for 2023. Is there anything else that you'd like to add?
Yeah. Well, we as a business right now have, this window of opportunity that we're capturing, and we're incredibly excited about. And, we've invited, our stakeholders to participate in that journey with us in regards to, the next fundraising round that we're doing. And, crowdfunding is part of it. It's not, as I said, crowdfunding should be a bolt-on. It should be an add-on. It shouldn't be the primary source of a fundraise. And that strategy has worked with us quite well. So, as mentioned, we've done 2 rounds very successfully. We're launching our 3rd, and it's a bolt-on to a bigger round that we're doing.
Yeah.
But, that might not work for other people. So again, I'm sharing my experiences here, and I'm always very open to kind of share feedback. But, you kind of have to take it with a pinch of salt, because maybe your business isn't really right for that equity crowdfunding route.
Yeah.
And maybe it's not so easy to explain to others because it's a heavy B2B business. And it's, I think, generally true that a little bit more B2C, or businesses that you can explain in layman terms that are B2B, are easier to pitch on equity crowdfunding platforms. So, that's just a bit of a disclaimer of sorts, right?
Yeah.
So, we've been really successful with what we've done, but it might, not work for others. But I would definitely, tell people to give it a go, or to kind of explore it as a conversation, as an option, for their business, because there's a lot of benefits off the back of it. And other than that, it's been a pleasure, Lucas, kind of coming back, to your studio and having a chat with you.
Fantastic.
I'm really happy to, kind of share some of the stories that we've experienced, on our journey.
Yes.
And grateful that you are a great interviewer as well. It's very, very relaxed. It's very conversational, and
and you survived the elevator pitch. So,
Well,
great interviewee.
You kind of did a better job than me on pitching the business, I feel, with your digger example. But it's great to sit back with you again, Lucas. So thanks for the invite.
Excellent. You're most welcome, Dennis. All the best with the crowdfunding, and looking forward to hearing about, the progress of 2023.
Cool. Yeah, fantastic. Thank you, Lucas. Cheers.
Thanks, Dennis.